Hi, I'm Sheldon from Find It Archery Supplies and welcome back to another one of our bow reviews. Today we're going to do a bow review on the UUKHA Uprolite riser. The Uprolite is a full carbon riser, and I tell you what, when you open the box you know you're in for some seriously heavy duty stuff when they give you a spanner for adjustment. These guys haven't skipped a beat on this. Now we go on a lot about limb adjustment and in a riser and how it makes it and what sort of quality it gives it. UUKHA have actually put it all in a very simple way. Very similar concept to the Hoyt as far as insert height adjustment. However, they've put a great big bolt on the end here with the adjustment for your top weight as well. So they've put that in there. Now that's got a bit of positiveness to it, and the fact that you actually want that dampening as close to the limb as possible. So it's a very clever move. However, like the Hoyt, they kind of scrimped a little bit on this part. And you see us, and we always go on about grub screws and everything like that. Now, they've given you a lovely big grub screw here with the brass insert, but this tiny, tiny little grub screw on the side. Now, the reason we go on about this a lot is when we work in a shop, we get bows that come in for servicing and repairs and all that kind of stuff, and this is always where the problems start. Small grub screws. Because first of all, you tighten them, they strip. Nobody ever puts a high tensile grub screw in any of these products. So it just automatically starts a problem. When you start tightening small grub screws, they strip incredibly easy. So, and most of you have probably experienced this yourself if you've been in archery for a long time. It's a bane of our existence, and please, any manufacturer out there, don't take it personally, but please give us big grub screws. They really do make our job easier and people's lives a lot better. But we'll move on and we'll let that go. Overall, the bow is very well made, very well finished, and probably, as you would notice, almost very similar in design to the RCX made by Win&Win. But it doesn't have all the lovely fancy grooves in it. It sits very nicely in your hand. It doesn't move a lot, it just wants to sort of sit there. A little bit top heavy, but it just sits there. The grip is very well formed and is a bit different to what everybody else offers you. This grip has got like a matte finish on it, almost like it's got its own little grip tape sort of feel to it. So it's quite smooth. However, this one here that we've just received from UUKHA has a small imperfection in the hand grip. Don't know if you can see that just there. So, not sure what that's all about. We'll have to get onto that. But other than that, generally with UUKHA, when we get things, the quality is very well maintained. And as far as dealing with a manufacturer, UUKHA are fantastic to deal with. Our lead times with UUKHA are so small. And in fact, out of everybody that we deal with, they're probably the fastest to deal with. Generally speaking, if we don't have a product in stock, we have it here within 7 working days, and that's to our door. So any special limb, anything, incredibly quick service. So we cannot fault that. The UUKHA's fantastic for that product. Like everything in their range, which is a carbon finish, full carbon finish and matte finish. Now, the biggest downside to this in the Australian environment, matte black heats up really badly. Put a matte black riser in our sun or matte black limbs like the UUKHA limbs and they get red hot. It doesn't really affect the performance of them, but you do feel it when you pick it up. You can just put your hand on those limbs and they really do heat up. So there's a lot of heat that these bows will pick up. They really, from that kind of view for the Australian market, to have more of a gloss finish on it would be maybe a better alternative. But with that matte black finish, it just seems to pull that sunlight in and really heat up. However, this bow, the way they've built it, the way that all the little nut certs have been inserted, it's very clean, very clean. The quality control here is exceptional. However, they've done another Hoyt on us with that rear grub screw there. It's really buried, but other than that, everything's lovely and finished. It really is a very finished and very scrutinized product. Like, you know, they've taken a lot of trouble with this bow. It's still expensive though. It's still up there around that $650, $700 mark. So if you're thinking of this bow, you're probably thinking, what's it good for? Now, the UUKHAs have about 5 limbs in their range. The top of the range being the UX100 limb. It's an extremely good limb. It's a fully machined limb. So everything that UUKHA do is a machined product. It's actually like a bulk fiberglass or bulk carbon, and they machine it into shape. So it's a very refined product. Very refined. So they guarantee you actually in their limbs that they will never delaminate. So we've never seen a pair snap or break yet, so we'll hold them to that. But one thing about UUKHA, it is really designed for the performance archer. This is not a beginner's bow. Any shop out there in the world that would sell you this bow as a beginner need their head cracked. This is an advanced bow. This is a bow for experienced shooters, and it does need its limbs to go with it. Any ILF limb will fit, but the UUKHA limbs are extremely fast, but very non-forgiving. And again, I've been asked, what does non-forgiving mean? Make a mistake, they will let you know. They will really not let you get away with anything. So this is a bow that is really for that archer that's wanting precision shooting. Somebody who's an absolute pedantic freak about what they do. You would consider this riser up there with the Win&Win RCX, or the Win&Win RCX, or the Win&Win CXT Inno. Not really the Max Inno Max because of the weight variance in it. You would consider it against the GMX. So there's a few risers that you would put in this category. It's lighter than the Inno CXT, but a little bit heavier than the RCX Win&Win. So it sort of sits somewhere in the middle there. It's very close, but not very forgiving. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this bow. It'll turn heads. It looks lovely outdoors, especially when you get that UUKHA limb on it. You know, it just comes together and it looks like $1 million. It's simply stunning. A lot of archers, you know, you look down the line and you see archers with their product and they've all got matching stuff. This is one of those bows that you really, if you put those UX100 limbs on there, it just looks like $1 million. It really does. So where do you find this riser? Where's its place? Those sorts of questions. Overall, it's a performance riser. I would not recommend it for anybody who's just been shooting for a year or so. This is a kind of bow for a 3 to 4 year shooter. Myself personally, I wouldn't shoot it myself, simply because I don't believe as a shooter I'm ready for this riser. It really is an experienced person's bow. So if you're looking for that edge, for that overall performance edge, this is where you would start looking. So we're probably putting this into the range of that, you know, again, Inno CXT, Hoyt GMX, as far as the ILF, top of the end ILF bows go. So if you have any questions on this, please feel free to drop us an email to or drop in at our website and contact us through there at www.findatarcherysupplies.com.au. If we're online, please click the chat function and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. We generally do get back to our emails very quickly, and we try and answer all the queries that we do get. Again, your feedback on the YouTube side is welcome. However, again, as we say all the time, negative opinions are welcomed as well. Your opinions are noted. However, please keep in mind, this is just our opinion. It's not a universal opinion, and it's for every one person's opinion, there's always an opposite one. But if you're considering something for around that sort of $650, $600 mark and that high end, this is about where you probably start looking. So again, we are an authorised UUKHA dealer. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us and we'd be happy to help. But for now, happy shooting and enjoy the rest of your day.